Good morning. Today I want to talk about acceptance again, because this point can get driven home over and over and over. But I know that today is a good day to talk about it because it's pretty chilly, 40 degrees. I can just see my breath a little bit. Very gloomy, very quiet. My silly toe shoes are getting all wet because there's dew on the ground and it's freezing dew. And all of that is okay. And it's more than okay. It's a great thing. The reason why I want to talk about acceptance is I know biologically that we are wired to complain. We're wired to sniff out the negativity and look for it because we're these weak, bald, pathetic animals that if you threw out into the wild, they would need to be just using this as much as possible, wondering what's over there. Is there a bunch of tiny little coyotes that can eat me up? Is there a bear or tiger or whatever? We're pretty low on the food chain. When it comes to defending ourselves, there's not really much that we can do except use these brains. So it starts as a defense mechanism. It's a reactive thing. You know, we're taught to, we teach ourselves to react to the situation and find as much negativity as we possibly can. And that makes us sad, and it makes us lonely and bored and apathetic, and it brings disease. It's sick. And we don't need to think like that anymore because for the most part, we don't have to be in some kind of high alert survival mode at all. I think like the most danger we put ourselves in is driving in a car, and there's just a few simple rules you have to follow to be pretty safe overall. So don't get hard, don't get down on yourself. If you start to notice as you're following me along here, if you start to notice how often you complain or your coworkers complain about things that they can't control, my boss said this person doesn't like me. You can't change people's minds. You can't change, they have to do that for them. You can't change the way people hear you. They're going to hear you through their own ears that they grew all by themselves over years and years and years of, conditioning and whatnot. You can't change the weather, so you might as well appreciate it. You might as well find something interesting about it. These giant clouds in the sky, there's like, billions of tons of water floating above our heads, and we're safe underneath it somehow? It's crazy. The cold, what would nice, beautiful, warm days be without the cold? We think that we would just want them all the time, but it's like the curse of being human is never being happy, and it's a blessing because it's what takes us so far and so fast, and it's where technology comes from, it's where our houses come from, it's where our safety and security comes from. But I think now is the time that we can all sit back and just start appreciating things. I feed my dogs in the morning, and they don't go up to their food bowl and go, "Oh, stainless steel? I really wanted the plastic one. I don't want to eat this." But that's who we are, and that's who we're wired to be. I see it with my 2-year-old. The things that he decides to say no to is just hilarious. So it's like we have to rewire our brains, which is completely physically possible, to change who you are and to change the way that you think about things. And that is where the cure for a lot of this stuff comes from. A lot of disease in your head, it comes from physically altering your brain the wrong way or feeding the bad wolf per se. There's two wolves inside of you, one good and one evil, and which one are you feeding? And those are your thoughts. They're thought-eating wolves. So if you're thinking negative things, if you're thinking crap, the weather sucks, the traffic sucks, my boss sucks, I suck, everything sucks, well, it sure as heck does, and that's the way that you're going to perceive the entire world no matter what. I heard about a study where they hid money around, like in plain sight, for people that just thought that they were the most unlucky people in the world, and they walked there stepping over it. They couldn't even see it. It's just crazy what reality is. It's different for everybody. It absolutely is different for everybody. But then the other thing about acceptance is accepting the things that you can change and not complaining about them. And I was talking about yesterday that it's like the kid in the back seat going, "Are we there yet? Are we there yet? Are we there yet?" If you don't like where you're at, if you don't like your weight, if you don't like your personality, if you don't like the way that other people see you, if you don't like things around you, obviously be responsible with what you're going to do, but have an intention to make things right, and then let it go, and then just make sure that intention is what's driving you to do the right things. Make sure you're taking action, but don't Don't check your weight every day or every other day or every 3 days and see if you're losing weight. Don't do that. Don't think and worry about it. Find a plan, stick to it, and check in 2 weeks or check in a month and see how you're doing. It's that worrying is the same thing as complaining about something that you can't control, because from moment to moment to moment, things aren't going to change in here. But the great thing about being present and being aware is the more you stop the chatter in here, you realize that everything is changing out here constantly, and it's beautiful. And you're beautiful, and I love you. Have a great day, and feel free to shoot me messages or leave a comment or whatever. Thanks.